So it's really great to be here. Wow, what a full house. Amazing to see the room so crowded. We're very pleased to be presenting our thoughts about Penn Station that the Municipal Art Society asked us to put together a few months ago. Just in reflection, the time is of the essence, but it's also time to think and think differently about Penn Station as a new kind of civic space and a new potential for commercial development in Midtown. There's an opportunity to think out of the box and make something entirely new. So just to launch in, I actually have a minute more than I thought. That's fantastic. I'm going to add a couple of seconds to each slide. The old Penn Station, beloved jewel, was a kind of perfect public building for its time. Its single use was highlighted as a piece of infrastructure, but it was also one of civic spectacle. The west side of Manhattan, however, is completely different than it was when the original Penn Station was built. For the first time, the west side is a dense, mixed-use, cultural destination. It's the last frontier in Manhattan, and Penn Station is its gateway and should reflect that kind of density and mixed use. Currently, Madison Square Garden and Penn Station are at odds with each other, with MSG lacking proper infrastructure, unable to be loaded properly, and Penn Station squashed under its weight, essentially. Our first thought about Penn Station is that these two programs should be liberated from one another, but that Madison Square Garden should move very close by to take advantage of the infrastructure that is already in place at Penn Station. Penn Station could then grow into its proper new civic stature under the sun and as part of the city. New York has been a city built on intensive layers with a mix of uses sharing the same buildings. It is a city of layered publics. The old Penn Station was a fantastic civic space, monumental and symbolic, but it wasn't without its shortcomings. It was symbolic at the expense of being public. It was kind of an empty civicness. I know I'm going to get in trouble for critiquing the old Penn Station. However, we can learn some lessons about a 21st century version of Penn Station. Whereas the old Penn Station was monumental, was grand, and was divorced from the city, we imagine there's a new kind of civicness that could be applied to the new Penn Station, which is layered, program-intensive, 24/7, still light-filled, welcoming, public, and civic. Many cities around the world have engaged in infrastructure building. We've seen that in China quite a bit. But in Europe, many of the new train stations have embraced the idea of a new kind of city, an extension of the city, with programs that are supportive or actually different from those of the train station, ranging from parks to playhouses. We believe that the new Penn Station should be a city within a city, a double destination, if you will. New programs, both in support of the station and in addition to the station, will make it a 24/7 place. And speaking of time, train stations are always organized by time. And we think that time is a mode of architectural expression as much as a problem in a train station. So we think that the Penn Station could in fact layer itself from fast to slow vertically in a dense super block, branching and filtering light from top to bottom as it proceeds to a top-level park. The superblock would be aerated like a sponge, allowing programs to be connected visually and share the same air, light to beam down to the tracks at the bottom of the superblock, and a new kind of structural expression would allow for the tracks to exist in a column-free zone. And we all know that columns have been an enemy of Penn Station for years. Programs, and this is sort of a plan diagram, you can see the way that the mass of the building is envisioned as a kind of tissue, a kind of filter, an organ, extension of the city, with programs ranging from spaces of cultural production to spaces of presentation. So the facility would be an extension of the city around it and be a kind of hyperbolic densification of the surrounding districts. Programs ranging from food and up to park space would be layered in a dense layering all the way to the top. And sunlight and views would connect the program to the trains below. Here you can see the openings that allow sun to get down all the way to the bottom. There would be a layer of a distribution to the trains sitting just above the tracks, wholly visible from the street level, which itself would be rendered as a kind of new civic plaza of free movement and free program. Forward. The new civic will anticipate the merger of public and personal space through technology. Your PDA will allow you to understand and navigate the station depending on your intended duration of stay. A time-leash will help you maximize efficiency or distractions if that's what you would like. And this time leash allows you to move in every direction, laterally, in plan, and vertically in section. Likewise, the architecture itself will be organized according to time, manipulated and embedded with programs to help you use your time or lose your time. Here, everything is in motion, not only the passengers and the trains, but the programs. This is a dynamic civic space. It's aerated from top to bottom, creating a new kind of architecture, something we haven't quite seen in New York City in the past, but one that is wholly emerged from the city around it. On the train level, one would be able to see all the way through the building. It wouldn't simply be a vaulted space, it would be open to the sky above. And the street level would pass through the large block as an open civic space. Inside the building, there would be a density of programs, including restaurants, cultural facilities, theaters, office space, hotels, all of the kinds of programs that thrive in this district would be brought to this site in a dense, layered, horizontal new building. And on the top, a park would be rendered public, allowing the building to have multiple ground planes. And here it is from the air, showing a very dense, very large building, but one that does not employ the vertical. It doesn't employ the tower. It actually sets itself apart and becomes a civic space by virtue of its horizontality. And in my 21 remaining seconds, just a couple of things about the West Side. The High Line, as we all know, has changed what the West Side can do. It is now, it is a public-minded, mixed-use, and design-oriented development that has attracted commercial, cultural, residential projects. The West Side of Manhattan is forever changed, and the city around it has been asked to participate in ways that it has never participated in the public life before. At Hudson Yards, we are working with Related on the Culture Shed and Tower D. These are two parts of a very large project that I'm sure you're all aware of, with numerous residential and commercial buildings being put up. It will be the densest part of Manhattan when it's finished. And the Culture Shed, just for 2 seconds, is a project that we are working on with the city that anticipates a new kind of cultural space for the 21st century. One which balances cultural and commercial programming and offers a lesson on new civic architecture, where culture, commercial, and presentation spaces are intertwined. From this model, perhaps Penn Station could also take some clues. And there is a little video I will end on showing Culture Shed expanding into its adjacent park. And we think that this kind of out-of-the-box thinking is what is needed for the new Penn Station. I'll let this play. Thank you very much. This facility will completely transform, going from enclosed space to open space, dark to light, conditioned to unconditioned. It can accommodate everything from street fairs to theater pieces, to symphony performance, to farmers markets. Thank you very much.